Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 67 of the Hardly Millennial podcast, where we are young, dumb, and full of
opinions.
opinions,
ladies and gentlemen.
You know, when I first started saying that, I thought it was just one of those like, oh, I'll think of something like new to say the next time. And then it was like, I would just like in the moment I panicked and I just said opinions, ladies and gentlemen, and then it was an endless cycle of that, and now it's just
the thing.
It feels wrong if I don't say it.
It's your hook. It's what you say.
It's what I say. So, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I have across from me again today, second day in a row, is Christopher Trujillo.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us again today, Chris.
It is my pleasure. No, really, it's awesome to be back.
Good.
I'm way less nervous than I was yesterday.
I was literally just going to ask you how the nerves were doing.
Way less nervous. Totally more into it. My vocals are going to be there a little more today.
Fuck yeah. Well, Chris, did you have anything you wanted to talk about today? Was there anything just aching in your bones that you felt you need to discuss?
No. But we did discuss off mic how I was asking you how you felt about Boondock Saints. Well, I mean, I know how you feel about Boondock Saints. We both love that movie.
Yes, it's a great movie.
I love it. It's fantastic.
For those out there who may have not have seen it, go fucking watch it, first of all.
That's first and foremost.
But second of all, so the movie is about two very religious, two very Catholic Irish Americans who live in brothers, yes, who live. Where is it that they live again? It's not New York.
Listen,
right?
Listen. I'm not here to give you details.
So okay, let me just try to paraphrase here. So it's about two religious Irish American brothers who just kill people in the name of God, bad people in the name of God. It's hilarious.
You went from super descriptive to super vague. This is a middle ground.
How's that vague though? That's pretty much what it is.
Okay, so these two brothers. Okay, it didn't even happen like they were trying to do it. It happened by chance because these guys they got in a fight at a bar. Found out where they lived, and where they're basically going to execute him in the alley. And the brothers, just in self-defense, saved each other and killed these guys.
Right.
Long story short, a cop, catches on to what's going on, and these brothers kind of just keep falling into these situations where they get to keep killing bad guys. And they're like, hey, we're pretty good at this. Like, maybe we should just keep doing it. And then, yes, there is a religious aspect for sure. 100%. Don't let that...
well, it's definitely a deep undertone in it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I loved the movie. William Dafoe's in it.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
Dafoe.
I love him. He's just he's fantastic in everything, in my opinion. So maybe I'm biased.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, he's in it. So anyways, you should go watch the movie. I don't want to spoil a bunch of stuff in the movie.
Right.
So that happens, and I love the first movie, but then the second one came out, and when I first watched it, I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, what is this mockery? Just get it out of here, you filth. Just go. Leave me. That might be a little dramatic, but it's how I felt. And so, but that was years ago, when it first came out. So I watched it again just recently, and I don't really liked it again. I was like, what the heck? Like, okay, no, I'm digging it. I'm in it. Like, the little Mexican dude, he was killing me. I was just like rolling. It was great.
So did you happen to listen to the podcast I did with Thomas a few days ago, and when I was talking about that, and this circles back around to Boondock Saints, just for the record. But when I was talking about the documentary of like George Lucas versus the people.
Yes, vaguely, yeah.
Okay. Well, there was a particular story I told in there, and if you remember, it just stopped me, where I was talking about the guy who saw Phantom Menace and said he had to go back and watch it to see if he hated
16
it.
times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Boondock Saints 2, that's how I felt about it initially. So I never went to theaters to see it, but I did see it when it came out. And same thing, like I watched it, and the first time I watched it, I was like, what is this filth, right? It's like, this is garbage. I had my qualms about it back then, but I had to go back and watch it because I was like, okay, is it really that bad?
Right.
Or is it just me? What is it? So I went back and watched it again. And then all of a sudden there were just like little points, even film aspects or story aspects or just one-liners where I'm just like, okay, like that I could consider that a gem. Okay, fair enough.
I could
and then
that.
you go back, and also you're watching.
You're talking yourself into liking it.
Yes, that's exactly what happened to me.
You're like, I want to lick it. I want to lick it. I want to lick it.
Now, don't get me wrong. Even from doing all that, I still think the first one's way better.
Oh, leagues.
But I'm definitely entertained watching the second one now.
Right, I can watch the second one and still be happy. Mm-hmm. But when before I watched it and I was like, I'm not. What? No, I would have preferred I would have preferred just never having a number 2. Originally, that's how I felt.
Well, there's going to be a number 3.
And I'm excited.
Yes.
Ooh, because if you remember, do you remember the end of number 2?
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah,
I don't want to. Yeah. So there's just so much more.
I totally get it.
You're right.
But when it's going to come out, I don't know. That's like Troy Duffy's baby. Troy Duffy's the director and writer of it. He's like he hasn't done like anything else.
He's in the bar scene in number 1.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think he's somewhere in number 2 also.
I'm sure.
But like it was basically a passion project, but there's also like an underground-esque kind of documentary out there too that was behind the scenes of when they shot Boondock Saints, and Troy Duffy's basically like a dick. Like nobody liked working with him.
Oh, really?
Willem Dafoe. So funny story. So I went to film school in Scottsdale here in Arizona. And we had a teacher in there who was in the process of like his passion project, doing his first like big legit feature film. And he was telling us...
Is this the one I went to?
Oh, yeah, you did go to this... I don't want to say it. But,
okay, yeah.
But yeah, so we don't want to say it. There's reasons why we don't want to say it, but... Regardless, so this teacher was talking to us about how he was trying to get Willem Dafoe. And the reason why Willem Dafoe said no to him was because he said since he did Boondock Saints, he'll never work with a director who like an inexperienced director again.
Whoa.
Yeah, he said after that he wouldn't. So now, don't get me wrong, that's just this guy's word, but
right, okay.
But there are like documentaries and stuff out there about the behind the scenes where Troy Duffy's basically just like a dick, and I met the guy, and he is kind of a dick.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, it's like he didn't say or like because it was just like you were in a group, you were in a room with a group of people, and he would talk about the film a little bit, and then he would do a Q&A at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Well, he just always had this like very pompous demeanor of like, what a dumb question, but I'll answer it anyway. Like that kind of demeanor.
It's funny. I feel like I come off like that a lot, actually.
No, not like this guy. But
so you do, but just not as much as this guy. Well, I mean, I'm just messing around.
Right, but like at least you don't to me, Maybe you do to other people, but I know you too well.
Tell me in the comments below if it ever made you feel like a douche.
Let us know. 1 through 10. But anyways,
look at the comments already starting.
But anyways, so one question that I asked him is I just said like, because at this point the second one had already come out, and I had asked him like, had you always planned on doing a sequel, or was it just something that like, oh well, the first one did so well, so I'll do a second one kind of thing, and he just was like, well, yeah, wasn't that obvious with the way I ended the first one? And I was like, okay.
No, that's why I'm asking.
That was exactly my thought. I was like, well, obviously I'm asking this question because I felt it wasn't. Like, geez, excuse me. Didn't know the Queen was in town. Like, fuck.
Well, and not even to mention that, it's just like, how many films should have had a sequel and didn't? For whatever reason. How many have gotten so many sequels are
yes. Well, like, but
and it's just like, why?
well, and there are some movie franchises where I understand why they get so many like sequels, like the horror genres, right? That's just what you do with horror movies now. If you come up with a good horror movie, you make 20 of them. Just what you do, and people enjoy them. They all have their little niche group, right? But you're right though. There are a lot of films out there that I feel should get sequels and don't. One film I feel very strongly about is Keanu Reeves when he was in Constantine.
Ooh, you know what? I liked him as Constantine.
I did too. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I understand it wasn't, really true to the comics.
I was gonna say, yeah, it wasn't very good or close to the source material.
I understand that, but just as a movie, I truly enjoyed it, and it was one of those I really would have liked to see a sequel to that movie.
I agree. However, have you seen the Constantine on TV? Well, it's not on anymore, but like it was like for a season and it got canceled.
Yeah, I never saw it though.
I saw a little bit of it, and from what I saw, it was okay. But I generally enjoyed him too, and from what I understand, he was pretty well received as well.
So what, is the show not on anymore?
No, it got canceled. Just one of those shows that, got canceled, though, doesn't make any sense why it got canceled, Like Daredevil being absolutely fantastic.
Did Daredevil get canceled?
Yeah.
You're talking about the Netflix Daredevil,
obviously,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But they kept Jessica Jones?
No. They're just stopping them all.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that kind of makes sense. I don't think Daredevil should have been included.
Oh, and I liked the third season too.
Well, but I understand here's what I feel like happened. I feel like they were going, okay, Jessica Jones isn't doing well. Iron Fist isn't doing well. What was Luke Cage? Was that the
Iron
other one?
Fist was entirely their fault.
Well, regardless of the reason,
yeah.
It was just these aren't doing well, so they just pulled all of them, and it was like, well, I mean, I guess we have to pull Daredevil. If we're gonna pull all of them, let's pull Daredevil too.
No, see, I don't agree with that. Like, if you want to pull something because it's not doing well, pull it. Okay, whatever. You got your numbers. You got to run a business. Whatever. Regardless of how I feel,
right?
You got to run a business. But Daredevil was doing great.
Right. Well, I agree with
you. Like, you just keep that going. Okay, if you can't make money with the other ones, cancel them, whatever.
Right.
And you're telling me you can't write that in somehow? Or even never mention it again?
Right. Yeah, but sometimes, and it's weird how this works with like TV and movies, especially TV with ratings, is because sometimes there will be a particular show that's super popular in a very specific area of the country, but they're the only ones watching and talking about it, and then the rest of the area won't be watching or talking about it at all. Not saying that was the case with Daredevil,
right. But
stuff like that happens all the time. I remember this was years ago, but American Idol was one of those shows that went to they've restarted it recently, but it went up to 15, maybe more seasons, wow. Right? And I remember when it first came out, it felt like everybody was watching it. I know my parents watched it, and then we watched it with them.
Oh, yeah.
And people were talking about it at school.
America.
Right, exactly.
And we are Americans.
Yes.
So you better be watching it.
But at one point, my family stopped watching it. I noticed it was being talked about less. And it was one of those shows that nobody talked about it. I didn't know anybody who or anybody in their family watched it, or anybody that they just knew, who watched it. And when they kept coming out with seasons every year, I remember I was thinking, what the fuck? Why is this show still going on? Nobody's watching this anymore. And I actually ended up looking it up. I was in film school at the time, so I was into this kind of stuff. And I was looking up the actual ratings for it, and looking at it's not popular here. They don't get a lot of viewership in Arizona, but they get tons in all of these states and all of these areas.
We really can't see. Adam is waving his hands about, showing me the areas of which the United States has this show.
It was for dramatic effect, for your eyes only, though. But yeah, dude, it was crazy though. You know, and we don't realize that about some shows. There are so many fucking times when I come over here to my parents' house and I'll be watching cable because I just have like Netflix and Hulu, right? And I see these commercials for these shows and they're like, season 8 of Kate and Joe, you know, and it's some reality show with two people I have who the fuck they are. And they're like, it's gone 8 years. Somebody out there's fucking watching it enough to make 8 seasons of it.
Right. I remember you mentioned that. I think that specific show before, actually, in the podcast.
I don't even think it's called that either. It just
the one you go to in your head. Just like this is my.
It was like that mundane. It followed a couple basically, but it was like that many seasons in, and I had never ever heard of this. And there used to be a time in our lifetime where if a show made it that many seasons, there weren't a lot out at the time, so you just knew what the shows were that were running that long. Mm-hmm. And now it's just such a regular thing because there's just so many niche audiences now.
It's true. It is. But switching from shows to movies, I just wanted to bring up. You guys mentioned before. I remember hearing. I think it was you and Matt talking about like your favorite movies and stuff of different, or at least just favorite types and everything. I think I heard you and Thomas talking about it too. Probably. Anywho.
I talk about film quite a lot on these podcasts.
No,
no, not at all, Adam.
One of my favorite films. I can't really say my favorite because God, that would take so much thinking into. Right. And yeah, I'd break it into genres, and let's just stay basic here. I'm a basic bitch. So, A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
And I think it was Matt that said he's not a fan of Russell Crowe. Or no, Thomas. Thomas said he's not a fan of Russell Crowe.
No, I think it was
because he said Matt. He feels like for the majority of the time his movies feel a little like drawn out too much. But I just love that movie. I think he said specifically he likes that movie a lot too. Thomas said that. Yeah. I just freaking love that movie, dude. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. It's I like it. I mean, I do like it. I don't know if I put it on as high of a pedestal as some people out there do, because I enjoyed watching it, but I don't ever watch it and I'm like, oh, this is one of the greatest movies or anything like that. But maybe it's just because it's not my like kind of movie.
Right, I feel you.
And Russell Crowe too. I think.
See, I'm a big fan of Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe is always just. I don't know, like it's weird. He's one of those actors where I definitely I can't really pinpoint any movie that I really like disliked him in per se. I think it's because I've heard so many stories about how he's like to work with, and he's not like everyone's favorite person to work with.
Oh, really?
And that I think just makes me like have a certain perception on him that like, oh well, even though he's good in his movies, they're still like. Well, I hear all these stories about like what a dick you are, or just how arrogant he is and different things like that.
Hey, he can be arrogant.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's funny. I used to see that stuff all the time when I like lived in LA and stuff. When like people would come across arrogance, I hate it. My views on it have changed quite a bit. But like I used to have the thought process of like, well, you can be arrogant because you like look where the fuck you are.
Right, yeah.
But it's a difference between like being being overconfident and being like, even if you are arrogant in your head, you still owe it to be humble.
Right. It's like don't get me wrong.
You
could totally be arrogant and be in the right. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess to be truly like to be the best, maybe like the best you could be good. I guess.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not doing it for that. It's like you said I'm just being humble. Like I'm just doing it for the good of doing it.
Right. Exactly. And those are the things that I think some of these celebrities lose sight of is, they let their ego, overshadow everything else. Not all actors do, but a lot of them do.
I can't remember who it was, but there was some actor you brought up that said he doesn't think, I think it was Marky Mark, said he doesn't think actors should get involved in politics because they've lost touch with the normal people.
Right.
So they don't really have a place to say what the normal people should or shouldn't do.
Right, exactly. And
and that's totally paraphrasing and like telephoned.
Well,
so
I think,
don't quote me on that his exact words.
Right, and I think Matt and I had a whole podcast conversation about that too.
I believe so.
But it's like and it's not saying that celebrities shouldn't be able to vote or anything by any means.
No.
But it's just one of those, like, the way I have always put it, just to try to put it as simple as possible, is these celebrities out there, regardless of who gets elected as president, their lives do not change. That's the difference.
I know what you mean.
Whereas like it can really affect the blue collar folk like you and I.
Feel you.
Whereas like, but if you're a celebrity and or really anybody who makes, that amount of money doing that kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, like you have a right to have an opinion on the issues, but don't tell the blue collar folk like you should vote like this. Well, they might be voting for very different reasons than why you think they should vote for somebody.
Right, totally.
But I don't know. Those are my thoughts about celebrities just preaching that kind of stuff.
That's very pretty, Adam.
Thank you. Oh, so Chris is referring to this little purple bow that I have today that I think is for some kind of cancer awareness. There was just somebody at my work who just like pinned one on my clothes, and it just lives with me.
Well, now. I thought it was particularly pretty because it was stuck to a
Blue Moon bottle cap.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing today on the podcast, guys. We're putting ribbons on inanimate objects as I talk about celebrities telling people to vote. But, okay. I watched this video last night that blew my fucking mind. And I watched it actually after you went home yesterday. And so it was this half-hour video that caught my eye on YouTube.
Rabbit hole.
It was a space rabbit hole is what I was in.
Those are the best holes.
But this one, it was 30 minutes. And the title of it was like something like the future of our universe sped up or something like that, right? But it was a half-hour video. And I remember I clicked on it. And before watching the beginning, I just kind of like, went to see like the middle, like what is this video all about?
Right.
And they had like a little timeline on the bottom to say like how many years in the future from 2019 it is. And I just happened to click on a spot where it was like 1 billion trillion years. And then it was like next to it, so like black hole era. And I was like, what the fuck? So I had to go back to the beginning and be like, how do we get to this point?
Yeah. And I mean, eventually we're going to be though, right? Eventually it all comes together.
Yeah. So, but this was so fucking fascinating to me because everything that I have heard so far in regards to like the universe ending, the universe coming to its, final phase, everybody just kind of stops with the stars dying out, right? At one point, the stars are going to burn all of their heat and they're just going to die out.
Well, no, they die out. Everything becomes nothing or sucked into a black hole, and then everything eventually becomes one big black hole until everything's sucked into.
Well, that was my theory.
Right.
So, but this, well, let me just explain because this goes way past that. So one thing they were talking about because they got to that point, a trillion years in the future when all the stars die, right? They all fizzle out. And they were like, and this was like 5 minutes into this 30-minute video.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And they even make mention on there. Sometimes they have people talking and sometimes words would come up on the screen and they'd be like, this is like the universe as we know it is literally like just straight out of the womb. Like it still has so much living to do that's like totally just beyond like our comprehension. We know like how it's going to go just because of our current understanding of physics.
Well, because for us, 100 years is a long time.
Well, yeah, of course.
And on a cosmic scale, it's not even a blink.
Well, what surprised me though, like it wasn't this question of like that the universe was going to be around for so long. It was how much stuff happens after like all the stars die and there's no light. left. So they went into so much. So like one of the things they were talking about was when a star dies, it turns into like a white or a red dwarf, right?
Okay.
But eventually, and those things spin super fast, and they have a lot of energy to burn, and even some cases, things like planets can revolve around it, but eventually those die, and they turn into what they call black dwarfs, which is literally like, it looks like a rock, but what it really is just a star that's turned into a solid now because it's burned off all its heat. There's nothing left, so it just becomes cold, right? And
so it's just carbon?
Yes, in some cases, just depending on the star, but yeah. But so then they would but because that takes so long to happen, that we don't think that there are even any black dwarfs in our current universe right now, because it literally takes like 1 billion trillion years for them to get to that point. And then that's like 7 minutes into this video. And then it still has, 20 more minutes to go. And then it talks about the black hole era. So there's going to be a point where it's just black holes that exist in our universe. And all they're doing is just going around colliding with each other. But then even at some point, those are going to fizzle out. And here's what happens
until
next.
There's one.
No. Not according to this. To our current understanding of physics and everything, because to have a black hole, because you're talking about having a black hole the entire length of the universe itself, which just doesn't happen because the universe is constantly expanding, so it couldn't engulf the entire universe.
Black hole would constantly expand.
No, it wouldn't. Only if other black holes kept colliding with it, and even if
anything gets sucked into it, right?
No.
Because it's adding mass.
Well, but you don't have to add size to add mass. Mass and size don't have to be equal with each other. Oh yeah, I know. The dog's bark is pretty loud. It's a small dog. We just kind of like went off there. So I have this small dog that I'm sitting right now at my parents' house, and I have to put him outside because he likes to scratch on the fucking door when we're in here trying to podcast. And he barks so loud that through this room, the walls outside of this room, the door to the outside, to the backyard, we're more towards the front yard, you can still hear his barks. Fucking small dogs, dude. I just don't get the appeal.
Silver lining, they eat less.
I guess, but that is not worth all this other bullshit to me. Like, gosh.
So that's kind of hey, would you like a dog that eats less? Sure, okay. But it's going to keep barking. That leads us to...
I still don't remember what those games are called.
I don't know what they're called either.
So what Chris is referring to is we were talking about earlier about possibly, because we've done things like hypotheticals or like the Never Have I Ever games and things. And he was talking about those games where you say, well, just as Chris said, like you can have a dog and it eats less, but it's going to bark a lot. But I can't remember what those games are called. But Chris is looking it up right now.
I'm trying to think, yeah. We were supposed to look this up before the podcast, Adam.
I know. I got home from work and then I just needed to get this podcast going, man. But I'm excited for it. Oh, so let me tell you guys. So if you listened to the podcast yesterday, you know that I have cut off my hair and I have shaved my beard.
Yes.
And let me tell you, I was a celebrity.
What do you mean?
At work today.
Oh.
Just like everybody was just like, what the fuck? Have you seen Adam? Have you seen Adam? Like, go check it out. Go check him out. Like he cut it all off.
cut it all off. Well, it is a big change for you.
I know. Well, yeah, I'm definitely...
Well, I mean, not really, since I've known you, because this is literally just the cycle.
Right.
But for everybody else...
For people who don't know me, for people who have only seen, like, the beard and the hair, the long hair... When they see me with short hair and no beard, it is definitely a very dramatic change. And it's almost like people are like, oh, like, I was always on the fence on whether or not he, like, you know, was really that good looking. And then I shave. And they're like, oh, no, he's fucking beautiful. That is a beautiful man right there. You guys will see what I look like on a vlog here soon, if you're listening. Have you found this game yet, Chris?
No, but I did pull up Would You Rather instead.
Okay, go for it.
And you know what? This is going to be a good one for you.
Okay.
Would you rather know the uncomfortable truth of the world or believe in a comforting lie?
Would I rather... Read that one more time.
Would you rather know the uncomfortable truth of the world or believe a comforting lie?
The uncomfortable truth.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. I would much rather...
You're pretty similar in that regard.
I would much rather know the uncomfortable truth and try to understand it until I became comfortable with it. And then I'm one step ahead of the herd, man.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, it's kind of going outside the realm of like what the question's... It's suggesting, regardless, it's going to be uncomfortable. Right. I get what you're saying. I feel what you mean. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm still with you, regardless.
Yeah, like I just... it's that morbid curiosity again, dude. Like,
it's not that for me. For me, I
just have to know.
And I just want the truth.
Yes, exactly.
It's that... And it might be that distrust in me, you know, because I don't trust very easily.
I have that too, definitely.
Would you rather it never stops snowing, like the snow never piles up, but it can just keep going? Or it never stops raining, and it'll never cause floods?
Well, that's hard for me to answer because I've never really experienced snow. But I do really enjoy the rain. So I guess I'd probably choose the rain. It probably wouldn't be super fucking cold. So do you want warm rain? So really it's asking, do you want it to be cold all the time? Or do you want...
I think I would choose snow because you can always make the snow down into water. I guess.
I guess it... What do you mean you can make it down into water?
Like, I guess, like, if you have snow, right? You can always, like, I don't know, put on a heater and, like, now it's water.
It's not snowing in your house, Chris. It's just snowing.
No, but if it's okay, so like you could collect the snow, right? Because it snows indefinitely.
Okay, but you could just skip a whole step and just choose the rain part.
Totally. What I'm saying is with the snow, you get both options.
I guess. Like, what?
Because like you could freeze the water, but then it's just a block of ice. You don't ever get snow out of it. Like, you could, but you're going to get an industrial freaking ice chipper thingy outside.
But you couldn't get snow either because we already established the snow's not going to stick.
Remember? It wouldn't consistently pile up.
Oh. But there'll be enough to build a snowman? Is that what's happening?
You know what? I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Because if it's not enough to build a snowman,
but then
I don't even give a fuck about your stupid snow.
But then it's gonna be fucking cold freezing all the time.
I mean, no worse than it raining.
It's not always. Look where you live, Chris.
Okay, other than Arizona, Adam, it's not warm when it rains.
Yeah, it is. Usually it rains in like April for most other places, and that's still like spring, warmer weather.
I don't know, man.
That's not cold.
I think it could definitely... If it rained today, it would have been cold.
Well, sure, today. But you're still not nearly as cold as it would be to snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still outside this chilly day with a t-shirt.
With snow, you're less wet consistently.
Okay, I guess, but I don't know, use a fucking umbrella.
You could use an umbrella, for sure. But you'd still be, I think, more wet. And it'd be more of a hassle.
I feel like if anybody is from, like, What the fuck? I know you were trying to be quiet with that sneeze.
Both of them.
To not bring attention to them on the podcast, and I'm fucking that up for you now.
Woo!
But that was very intense to watch you try to hold back a sneeze.
2 of them.
2 of them.
That was like, woo! Adam?
What?
Oh, no, sorry, keep going.
Oh. I'm probably gonna stop. That's enough about
snow and rain. Would you rather go bald or forever be cursed to have terrible haircuts?
I'd rather just go bald. Why the fuck not? Why you would choose terrible haircuts?
I'm curious about the terrible.
Well,
terrible according to whom?
Well, I would assume terrible according to you. Right? Or maybe maybe there's just no mistake. Like you and everybody else will.
Because a terrible haircut for me would be like office job haircut.
I think they're talking about it like
chip chop, like you have bald spots and just like jing jing jing, or like buzz parts and stuff.
Yeah,
I'd probably just go with being bald.
Just be bald.
Yeah, I don't want to make it more
easier.
complicated.
Exactly.
Adam, would you rather have 1 nipple or 2 belly buttons?
1 nipple or 2 belly buttons?
Yeah.
I mean, neither does anything for me. Like, I guess 2 belly buttons.
Really?
Yeah. Why would you choose the 1 nipple?
I think I choose the 1 nipple.
Why?
I guess because it's like you could lose a nipple and then it's just like I just lost my nipple. But like you have 2 belly buttons. What's wrong with you? What happened? Why did you have 2 umbilical cords? You weird freak.
That is a great.
Did you ingest your twin?
Hey, that is a great party conversation starter.
So was 1 nipple.
You're okay, here. Imagine this scenario here.
Imagine the 1 nipple scenario.
You and I are at a party.
Okay, you've got the 2 belly buttons. I've got the 1 nipple.
Yes,
I'm down. Let's go with it.
Okay, so here we are, and you walk up to a group of people, and you guys go, "Hey, you want to see something?" And they're like, "What is it, man?" And you lift up your shirt, and there's 1 nipple there, right? And they're like, "Whoa, that's crazy, dude!" Now here comes Adam walking over. And going, Adam. So, you guys want to see something crazier? They're like, "What's crazier than 1 nipple?" And then I lift up my shirt. They see 2 belly buttons. Are you telling me they're going to be more impressed with the nipple, or they're going to be more impressed with the fact that you got 2 holes on your stomach?
You know what? I don't think there's impressed is the right word at all there. Intrigued?
I guess, sure.
Would they be more intrigued about the singular nipple or the...
What would get the most reaction? Probably the 2 belly button.
Leave your answer in the comments.
I feel like there's literally people out there with 1 nipple, but I bet you there's nobody out there with 2 belly buttons.
I had to read this question twice for a second because I was like, wait a second, but we do live in a desert.
I'm excited. Well, let's do it.
Would you rather live in a desert or live in a dessert?
In a dessert. What's the dessert?
It doesn't dealer's choice.
So, I first just want to. My first initial response I think of is the desert because I just live in the fucking desert and I'm familiar with it.
Right.
But I can't get this thought out of my head of me wearing like a whole like snow jacket get up with the furry fucking hoodie, and I got the snow glasses on. I got some walking sticks as I'm hiking with my fucking hiking cleats through the fucking rigorous mountains of ice cream. And just everywhere I camp, I can just go outside and just stick my hand in the ground, take a clump of ice cream, and just fucking chow down on it all night, all day.
Dude, I would love to live in a Pizookie.
A Pizookie?
You don't know what a Pizookie is?
No.
Bro,
What's a pizookie?
It's the big ass warm like cookie. It's like fresh out the oven with
Oh,
a la mode.
I do know what a pizookie is. Okay. I do
girl.
know what it is.
Girl.
Yeah.
I don't even like vanilla, but you give me some vanilla ice cream and throw on top of that bitch.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, I eat me a pizookie. I eat me a pizookie real good. Oh, give me that pizookie.
You'd want to live in a pizookie?
Well, I mean, if it's dealer's choice for dessert, because like it's got hot and cold.
I guess that's true. Different climates,
bro. I'm thinking about this shit.
This podcast is ridiculous, but I love us for it.
No, I can't even read that one.
Why?
No, Adam, don't ask me to read it. I will hate you. I won't hate you.
Well, okay.
I will be very unhappy.
We've talked about this morbid curiosity thing.
I
Can
know.
you at least turn the phone so that I may read it?
It's the very top one.
Okay.
Because I don't want to know. I wouldn't. I can't. I would rather just shoot myself.
So, Chris.
No, Adam. I'll shoot myself.
Would you
That's my answer.
Well, let's give context.
We don't need to give context.
Answer.
You know my answer now. We can just turn the podcast on.
Would you rather be forced to kill a kitten or kill a puppy? It has to be one or the other, Chris.
We can sit here for 30 minutes and make no noise in a podcast, or you can accept my answer that I'd blow my own fucking brains out first.
Fair enough. Continue on, sir.
That's the first time you haven't said touche.
Oh, I'm trying to lay off that. I've realized I say touche way too much.
Not enough.
Or not enough. Touche.
Adam. No. See, the problem with your touche, Adam, god damn it, is you use touche for everything. For shit that you don't use touche for. But if you would just use it appropriately, it would be so tasteful.
Touche. Touche.
But you didn't make a point.
Touche.
Oh my god. Well, it's back, ladies and gentlemen. Touche is back. Okay, so would you rather the aliens that make first contact be robotic or organic?
Would I rather be robotic or organic? Probably organic. I don't know.
You find robotic creepier?
No, I find robotic harder to relate to. I feel like maybe you would have to. I don't know. Whatever the organic life is could be hard to relate to also. But one thing you can relate on to some level in some way is the fact that you're both organic beings.
I don't know. I think maybe if it's mechanic, right? In some way there has to be. It's not just it can't be just literally mechanical. There's got to be some kind of electrical component, like computer part, something. Sorry, I'm over here like burping.
You're good.
If they're computers, they speak computer language. I think that would be easier for us to understand because we can understand ones and zeros. I think if you plug one of those computers into one of our computers, they'd figure each other out.
Well, it's not the argument of it's not a question of being able to understand the beings. It's just a question of having a certain level of relatability with these extraterrestrial beings. I think we as a species would find it much harder to learn to trust a robotic, extraterrestrial species than we would to trust an organic species.
Yeah, that's probably
true.
See
what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see. Yeah,
so it's
probably totally true.
With how iffy we are right now about AI and robotics and stuff like that. Imagine if the first thing that people would panic about is so they're robots. Well, where's the organic beings that created them,
dude? Because seriously, I totally believe that there's probably some aliens out there,
right?
And it makes me so worried when it's finally verified, 100%, because we can't handle different colors yet. Yeah. We're gonna handle a whole nother species.
Yes.
Anyways, moving on. Would you rather have a flying carpet or a car that can drive underwater?
A flying carpet or a car that can drive underwater?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to say we skip this one because I'm pretty sure Matthew and I did this exact
Then you
one.
should skip it.
Yes. Because I believe we actually named a podcast after it. It was something having to do with, like, is it a magic carpet or a magic rug?
Oh my gosh, I think I remember that, actually.
Yeah.
I remember that title.
I think that was an exact one that we had.
Taco.
Would you rather have a boomerang that would find and kill any one person of your choosing anywhere in the world, but can only be used once? Or a boomerang that always returns to you with $1?
Boomerang that always returns to me with $1.
Me too.
Always. 100%.
Me too. God, I feel like that first explanation compared to the second part of it was
right.
just very
I feel
violent.
like the first part's kind of like, I need something very specific.
Yes.
And the second part is just more like, nah, but this is a nice bonus.
Okay, this is seriously a one that if your choice is to find and kill any one person of your choosing anywhere in the world, but it can only be used once. So I guess it just depends if there's somebody in the world.
That's the caveat. Once.
Yeah, that one I missed.
If not for the once part, I'd very seriously consider it. As bad as that just sounded.
I'm trying to think if there's any one person in this world who like
I would just straight Death Note the shit.
Well, yeah, if it could kill anybody more than once.
Right. If there was not a limitation on it like that, I'd just straight Death Note.
But as far as like, is there anybody though? Like, if you did have the choice of like, let's put the $1 thing out of the picture. Let's say somebody did give you a boomerang and said, like, here you go. This will kill anybody you want anywhere in the world, but you can only use it once. Is there anybody out there who you hate enough that you would use such a boomerang on?
Off the very top of my head?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. Is this something you're willing to share?
No.
Fair enough. I figured that might be the case. That's why I asked.
Now, of course, I would. This is a very hypothetical thing with the supernatural freaking.
Yes, of course.
Right. I think it's one of those like, hey, if you could do it without ever getting caught, like 100%. It's basically that question, and it's like, would you know? Yeah.
See, I don't think there's anyone out there for me like that though. I don't think like just off the top of my head. I mean, I guess if I had to think
even
of
not
one,
any one specific person, I have way too many people I know are just bad in the world.
Right.
I just you hear about all the time, and I don't mean, like I said, no one thing specific. I would use it. I would straight vigilante that shit.
Right. I feel like you'd straight Boondock Saint that
straight up.
No, I
love that movie.
Like, I mean, I guess I agree if I like was given the power to be able to like, Death Note it, like
if you were given the power.
But as far as like just one particular person whom I hate enough or who I feel like, because the first thing I think of too is like dictators and shit like that in the world. If I had to choose one, that's not personal. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, most of those places anyway, if you kill that person, you're not really changing anything. Because
totally.
Just gonna come, pick up the pieces.
Yeah. Most personal shit is just that. It's like, if you really were gonna resolve it that way, mm-hmm. I think you and I have both been through enough stuff that that really wouldn't resolve anything.
Yes.
Your heart wouldn't fix itself, mm-hmm. and nothing would happen.
Right.
It would just be it's a Batman. If he wants to find the person who takes parents and then kill the person, it's like, I don't feel any different. It's like, yeah, that's the point.
Right. Exactly. No, I feel ya. But going to the original question, though, I mean, if he brings back $1 every time, my job would just be, all right, honey, I'm going outside to throw around the boomerang.
You know what? It would depend on how long the boomerang takes to come back.
Ooh, touche. Well, how long does it take?
It didn't say in the question.
But for the sake of this argument, what time limit? What if it took What if it took 2 hours?
No, not worth it.
No, right?
Not worth it. Not
Like
even.
I feel like in order for it to be worth it, it'd have to come back within like a minute or less.
A minute, dude. If you were to throw it every minute optimally,
Yes.
which wouldn't happen, but optimally, $60 an hour.
Yes. I do that for 8 hours a day. No fucking problem.
I mean, I would too, but I'm just saying that's.
You and I analyze way too much of the fuck out of these things.
That's true.
But
it's a very basic question, and we're just like, well, depending on the wind that day.
One thing. Ooh, speaking of which, one thing I actually wanted to do with you, Chris, at one point, actually do on hopefully this YouTube channel at one point when I'm at more of a position where I can film more things. There is a game out there, ladies and gentlemen, that I think you would really get a lot of entertainment value from Chris, Justin, and maybe a couple other people playing, called Super Fight.
Oh, yes.
And let me tell you, some of the funnest nights I have had is playing this game Super Fight. To just put it simply, you choose two notable figures and you pin them up against each other and you just argue with each other about, here's the thing.
Chuck Norris versus 9 first graders or whatever it was.
So, and you give them strengths and weaknesses. And let me tell you, Chris, me, and Justin once played a game with us, that kind of scenario. And we spent 4 hours just not even arguing, just discussing how somebody would win a fight.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to go into a tangent, but I just want you guys to know that may be coming in the future.
Super Fight is fantastic.
Yes.
I've never played that game and been like, well, that was a waste of time.
Yes. Well, and it's one of those things too that I think about, and the reason why I brought it up was just because of how much you and I will like analyze every little thing about like some of these
it's so
hypotheticals,
fun.
You know.
There's every little detail.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then there's the ones where like changes the scenario, where it's like we thought we were gonna fight, and then it changes the scenario, and what was it? It was a fan service at a all girls high school or something. Yes. And I'm like, well, I guess my angel of death won't work here. Like, I thought the literal angel of death would have been okay in any situation regarding death.
Right.
And now the situation is fan service for girls at a high school. Don't think I win this round.
It's a fun game. I hope we get to play it some point in the future. But you know, let's do one more and then we'll wrap this up. Go ahead and choose one there.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, I feel pressure. Oh no, I'm back where I started. Now I'm really uncomfortable.
Just like scroll really fast and then stop. There you go. Uh-oh. That looks like a long one. I don't know if that's the one you're going to read, but...
Okay, so would you rather have a map that shows you the location of anything you want to find and can be used again and again, but has a margin of error up to a mile, or a device that allows you to find the location of anything you want with incredible accuracy, but can only be used 3 times? So you have a map that'll show you where anything is within a mile.
Right.
Indefinitely, as many times as you'd like, or one that can only be used 3 times, but will show you exact location.
Probably the one that can only be used 3 times.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
because I don't want to have to search a square mile.
Yeah, well, and not just that, but I like think to my life, like, there's nothing I've ever been like so, like, I have to find this item, you know, to where like I felt like I needed to, you know, to have a device like that. So the fact that like I can get a device and it will show me exactly where something is 3 times, I'll probably die and still have like 1 left to use. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Is that what you would choose?
I would choose the same thing for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Would you even want to live 200 years?
Would I even want to? Yeah, I would love to be immortal.
Okay.
Totes.
So would you rather live until you're 200, but look like you're 200 the whole time, even though you're healthy. Okay. So like you're good inside.
But you get to live to be 200. Or you just look like you're 200 for the entire 200 years.
Or look like you're 25 all the way until you die at the age of 65.
Probably the latter.
The 25 one?
Uh-huh.
I would so go with the 200 one.
Really?
Oh, totally.
I wouldn't, because the first thing I think of is 200. If we're talking 200 as in how we currently age, we as humans, you're talking about probably not being coherent. You're probably talking about
No. It said you are healthy.
Oh, but you just look 200.
But you look like you are 200 the whole time.
No, I would probably still go with the 25 one. Call it being vain, but yeah.
I feel like
I could get 60 good fucking years of looking like this.
I love you, Adam. I love you so much. Of looking like this? Are you kidding? The rest of my life, I could look like this?
Do you know how many people would kill for that? I
love you.
That
would you rather scales all over your body or fur?
The what?
Would you rather have scales all over your body or fur?
Scales. I feel like fur would just get on everything. Am I wrong?
I love you. Dude, your dong would have to be like a dog's, where it like has to like come out like a lipstick thing, because that would not work.
You just always have to shave around it. Like you'd always have to shave.
Shave? How would you shave anything if it's scaly?
Oh, you're talking about the scale? I thought you were talking about...
I mean, I guess there are...
You mentioned dog penis, so...
Yeah, okay, so what I was saying is, like, fur. If you're all covered in scales, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, that's not gonna work, like, in, like, that, the same, not gonna... So it would have to be, like, a dog's where, like, it comes out like a lipstick thing, you know?
Well, fuck, that would just make it more convenient for me. Like, you got protection there now. Try to fucking kick me in the balls, bitch. Can't. It's not there. Not unless I say so. So, fuck you.
You know what? Let's leave it there.
Good idea. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. All right, guys. Well... This was a pretty nonsensical podcast, but it's why I love the man sitting across from me, because this is just what we do. So thank you guys so much for putting up with us today and listening to today's podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it. Remember, you can follow us on all the social media platforms. We also have a Patreon, www.patreon.com/HardlyMillennial. Go and check it out. Donate a penny, donate $1. I don't fucking care. Donate nothing. At least you know it exists.
Adam,
so
what is a Patreon?
You really not know what a Patreon is?
Vaguely.
So Patreon is the site that it kind of acts as like a continuous GoFundMe. So you can put and say like, oh, here's what I do. If you would like me to continue doing this stuff, donate to my Patreon.
So like an indefinite Kickstarter?
Kind of, yeah. So like a lot of YouTubers and Let's Players have one. And that's how they get the support. And like Let's Players who truly enjoy watching that person play games wants them to continue doing it. So they'll like donate money to them. And some of them literally make a living just through Patreon alone.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah. So if you guys want to donate, please do. But if not, I totally get it. Trust me. So any final thoughts, Chris?
Final thoughts, Adam. My only final thought is of you when I lay down at night.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just kidding, you're gay.
Only for you, Chris.
See, Adam is the only man I don't feel gay around. Even in homosexual situations.
True. I'd say you and I are pretty fucking comfortable with each other.
I mean, we've only known each other for nearly 20 years.
Yes, we've known each other for quite some time. We've been through a lot, you and I. You know what, one day, just to kind of add this, one day you and I are going to have a podcast where we should just exchange stories or just reminisce from the old times. Because you and I do have a lot. We almost should have done that this podcast. But But you and I
You mean like the
definitely have
cut
a
on your
lot
arm
of
that you've already
stories.
talked about? That I was the friend in that story.
True,
Well,
but that is one out of how many fucking stupid things have you and I done?
Haunting stories.
Ooh, that's Halloween. That's coming Halloween. We'll have to have you on the Halloween
people.
episode.
Halloween.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again for listening, and you guys all have a lovely morning, afternoon, and or evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Later.